Welcome back, or hello to all the new people to these videos, where what's the 11th round of the Manitoba Dirt Riders series. This brings us to the Miniota Devil's Drop race. It's October in 2016. My name is Daniel, and I'll be your navigator for the evening. What we find ourselves in here is my fourth race of the season. I'm racing in the Vet C category, riding a CRF 250X, which is relatively new to me. I've only had it for a few months, and really only have about 20 hours riding it, so still getting used to it, but it's been a really good bike. Switched over from a street legal Yamaha, so it's been a lot easier to get these races in and compete a little more effectively. The course we were racing this week was a little different than the course that I had raced on most of this year. The St. Lazare course, I guess, was fairly similar, with lots of rocks and roots, a lot of vertical. The early part of the series seemed to be mostly in the sand, and this was a nice change. It's surprising the variety in the courses, given that there's only, I think, 6 or 7 different venues that they use across this series. The course is very well prepared. It's been used for, I believe, the last 8 years. Really a beautiful layout, with just hard enough that it makes for some good carnage along the way, but not so hard that you can't complete it with a relative amount of skill. As usual, and you'll notice right away that there's lots of spray paint on the trees. They're marking in the tight areas. I cut about 3/4 of an inch off my handlebars after the first race this year on both sides, so I guess an effective almost 3 inches reduction in width, and that's been a lifesaver for me this year. My bark buster still gets smashed up pretty good, but recommend to anybody that does these courses is to lop a little bit off your handlebars. What you give up in high-speed stability, you save in finger ends and broken hands. This race takes place near Miniota, Manitoba, which I believe is in the Assiniboine Valley. They make spectacular use of this hillside. It's not really a great vertical drop as far as total footage, but it is steep, it is slick, lots of roots and rocks, and really, with all the inclusions of crisscrossing on it, and really excellent and creative use of all the gullies and gaps. They've made for a very interesting course with a good deal of variety, given a very small space used. A great deal of the footage that I used for this video was from my first lap. I included it because it has other riders in there, and you can kind of see the guys bouncing around a little bit. But you see a few other things along the way, like the soul-crushingness of having tipped over when there's 30 riders behind you and you get past and move down 30 spots in the race in a single crash. My first lap was really terrible overall. I went down, I think in the video, as I remember, about 10 times in the first lap. Really could not get my head on straight. It was the first time that I'd really ridden in about a month and a half. I've been away for work, and I'll use that as an excuse. I really don't have anything else that I can rely on at this point, but it was a very tough first lap. I kind of got things organized and slowed down a little bit on the second lap and started to speed up as I went there, but it was a difficult surge back into the dirt riding, but things turned out okay in the end. It was a good time. Really the hardest thing that I've learned this season is that it's just as important to not crash as it is to go fast. I've been riding for a while now, and while I'm not one of the better riders in the series, I'm capable of finishing these courses without too much of a strain or difficulty, but my problem has always been that I just don't slow down to a sustainable pace. My fitness level isn't where it should be, and as a net result, I make bad choices and ricochet off of things and go down a little more often than I should, and that really kills you in these races. It's better off to pace yourself at 85-90% of what you're capable of and just not go down than it is to crash through at 100% and spend 4 or 5 minutes picking yourself up out of a big brush or upside down on a hillside. One of the neat little obstacles in this course was this log that's on the steeper hill. It's hard to see the steepness of the hill here, and just there was quite a thin layer of clay on top that was a little bit wet that made it slick. But you come down and there's about a 12 or 15 inch log you need to pop over. That was pretty cool. My skid plate's about 13.5 inches, so I get pretty good clearance on these things. But you still slow down and kind of just, roll yourself over it. Late in the race, though, I think it was on my 4th lap, somebody came through and wheelied by me. I didn't even hear him come up behind me, and as I'm going over, I'm just teetering over, and then all of a sudden I see this wheel up in the air go over, and he flies by. So that was a little depressing, I guess, would be a good way of putting it. So kudos to whoever did that. But that looked pretty slick and pretty manly as you went by. This section coming up here won't look all that impressive on the video. It's hard to pick up because not only is it video compared to real life, but there's a great deal of grass laying over it, and even in real life it didn't look all that bumpy. But from what I'm told, they weren't able to get the mower in here, so it's there's a bunch of sticks and rocks and things hidden under this that made it really hard to get any sort of continuous movement on you. Tires kept turning sideways, and rear tire kept digging in. It was one of the two spots that I really had a great deal of problems with. There's a little rock you'll see in the video coming up here. I'll shoot sideways a little bit, but I did 4 laps in the race, and I think four times out of 4 that thing shot me sideways. I couldn't get enough speed to kind of hop up over it, and I couldn't get my clutch into to kind of give me a little bit more traction coming over it, as I'd just come to a complete stop, and it was tall enough that it just would kind of hang me up on it. So it was an interesting area to play around in, and an area I think where there's a lot of time to be made up if you were a little bit better on the corners, maybe a little bit of balance as you were creeping along. I guess this is the part of the video is it's kind of the midpoint. I got to get a shout out to my kids. They were camping there with me this weekend. My daughter Lizzie was racing in the PWB, I believe, on her little 50cc KTM, and she came in 6th of the weekend. A great deal for her. It's not her best finish of the year, but she's managed to finish every race that she's been in, and that's quite the accomplishment for really her first year of racing. And my son James races in the Junior B on a KTM 65, and he came into his, I believe, his third second place in a row now, and he's doing pretty well. Again, his first year racing, he's done pretty well for himself, and we're looking forward to bumping him up the class next year and see how he'll do there. I guess for clarification's sake, and to not take anything away from the kids that race in every one of these series races, my kids have placed with places in races that weren't consecutive, but they've done well at all the races they've been at in the last year, and we look forward to kind of hitting more of the races next year and maybe challenging for the series. Me, a little less so. I'm just here for fun, unless I start winning, and then I'm here to win. With all the leaves on the ground here for the weekend, I guess it was late in the year, it's to be expected, but it made for an interesting change in the topography. It just made it much harder to read your lines and see rocks and roots as things as they were sticking out, and they were a little bit slick if they were wet. The overall course conditions were pretty good, though. We had a rain on Friday night, but realistically it could have been a lot worse, and really could have been pretty impassable, I think, at places if it would have gotten a good rainfall. But this rock hill here, as we were going up, it claimed quite a few victims, I think. There was a lot of time to be made up there as well if you could get through clear. This pass wasn't bad. Didn't carry a lot of speed, but managed to stay upright, and that's worth something. Well, that's pretty much everything I have to say about this weekend here. We had a great time as usual, and thanks again to all the volunteers and the medic and all the people that came out for the MDR event. It really was a great time, and we look forward to seeing you all next year. And there's probably another minute or two of footage here that's worth checking out if you want, and we'll talk to you next year.